Hello and welcome to Hitting the Field. I'm your host, Barmel Lyons, and alongside me here on set is Daniel Bird and Connor Englehart. All right, guys, let's jump right in. The UCF Baseball team opened the season with a series sweep of Siena this past weekend. What's the biggest takeaway from the opening weekend?
I mean, for me, it has to be the starting pitching. I mean, let's start on Friday. Cree Finfrock goes 5 2/3. He has 9 Ks. He was pretty much untouchable, and he did give up a couple runs right before he got pulled. And then the relief pitching really didn't help him out at all and gave up a pretty big 6th inning there. But this guy's a quality number one. And if you can win on Fridays, that gives you a great chance of winning the series overall on the weekends. And you follow that up on Saturday with Robbie Howell. I mean, this guy has 6 Ks of his own. The whole team, pitching staff in general, pitches a shutout. The goal in baseball is to win series. And if you can start out a weekend winning Friday and Saturday, that takes a ton of pressure off that Sunday starter.
Got him.
So I think
Strike
UCF
three.
is in a great position, a lot better off, in my opinion, before this weekend than I thought that they would be at with the starting pitching alone.
Definitely, and you were talking about starting pitching. On Sunday, Nick McCoy got injured, in the first inning. So that showed Thaddeus Ward, a freshman, coming in and, stepping up hugely. And he went 3 1/3 innings and really, pitched nicely. And then the bullpen also played really well. But what I was most impressed by this weekend was definitely the hitting, because you got 7 new starters coming into the team. And really, the team as a whole batted .374 this weekend. And only one player out of the starting 9 batted below 300, so I was really impressed. In all 3 games, they had double-digit figures, putting up 10 in the first game with the walk-off by Micah. He had 15 in the second game with the shutout, 15-0, and then winning 11-2 on Sunday. I don't think you could ask for a better start.
Yeah, I think, again, though, it is Siena, and I think we have to remember that. I mean, UCF has handled the Saints in the last 4 years. That's who they've started with since we've been in college.
And they're 48-4 all time against Siena.
Exactly. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But like I said, the hitting, like you said, and like I said, the pitching, I think it's a great start. And even the pitchers, they were on a pitch count this weekend. And, of course, with McCoy, getting pulled early, that was obviously, he did not reach his pitch count. But I think both Finfrock and Howell could have gone deeper if the game would have been closer. And I think that's a great sign for UCF heading down the road this season.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, this team lost most of the starting lineup from last season. So who stepped up, in your opinion, and who's going to be the big impact player for the team?
Well, I think it was clearly going to be Matthew Micah. On Friday night, he had an outstanding performance. He hit the home run. He also had the walk-off in the game. And Micah, also yesterday, he got on in all 4 of his plate appearances, and he's just also really good in the field. And it's pretty clear that he's going to be this, main player. But when you have people in the middle of the lineup like Diorio as well, I'm not really too worried about the hitting of this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, pretty much everyone had a great hitting performance this weekend. I like Luke Hamblin. I mean, the JUCO transfer. I think a lot of people were kind of concerned after losing so many seniors last season that where's his leadership going to come? Where's the experience going to come from? These JUCO transfers like Hamblin played outstanding, and Hamblin himself, 462 this weekend, had 3 RBIs, not the most RBIs this season, but on the base paths, he ran so aggressively, and that's what we're going to need, I think, this season, especially once we get into conference play. The game's a little tighter. If you can get yourself in a scoring position, then that gives Diorio and Heiser a chance to drive you in.
Well, you were talking about Hamlin. He scored 7 runs, but what I was most impressed by him, it was in yesterday's game. There were 2 appearances where he was on first base, and there was just a typical single or double out into the outfield. He ran his way around the base path, and on a single to reach home, even if there's 2 outs, I'm impressed. He scored 7 runs, and Micah also scored 9 runs, and really both of them were just extremely impressive in their first UCF games.
Yeah, I think coming in, I think a lot of people knew that Micah had that speed. I mean, you're batting leadoff for a reason. But and Hamblin, to have that 1-2 combo at the top of your lineup, that's going to be huge, I feel like. And like I said just a couple of seconds ago, with Heiser and Diorio in the 3 and 4 spots, that's a potent top 4 in your lineup. And I think I feel a lot more confident about the season than I did on Thursday night for sure.
Definitely, definitely. All right, well, coming up this weekend, the Knights will head to Texas for the Texas A&M Corpus Christi tournament. Coming up after the break, Eric and Scott and Troy Kless will talk some Orlando City soccer, and we'll be right back.
DC Comics brand new superhero collection. Oh no! Central City is under attack from Captain Cold. Luckily, the Flash is here to stop him. Captain Cold is no match for the Flash. The Green Arrow needs the Flash's help. The evil Deathstroke is trying to take over the city. the Green Arrow, and Black Canary are here to stop him. Deathstroke is too strong to beat alone. With teamwork, they can defeat Deathstroke once and for all. Our heroes have saved the city. DC Comics Superhero Collection. Each figure sold separate.
Tonight on Deals After Dark. When I think of quality sunglasses, I think of boldness, but simplicity. And nothing provides both of those more than this set. Tonight, we have a pair of beautiful used matte black Oakley Holbrook sunglasses. These glasses offer an American frame accented with metal rivets and Oakley icons, perfect for buyers seeking performance and style. And do we have a deal for you guys tonight? For the next 40 seconds, that's right, 40 seconds, you have a chance to get your hands on this exclusive featured price of $110 or best offer. This deal, usually only available on Craigslist, could be yours for the 8 super easy payments of $13.75. Wow, I'm now hearing that we've actually gone down to one single pair. So if you're interested in this deal or any other products from our program, you can always log on to dealsafterdark.com or call us at 1-800-555-DEAL.
Welcome back. Alongside me is Troy Kless and Eric Scott. Orlando City Soccer Club season is just around the corner. Last year, in their first MLS season, they finished 8th in the Eastern Conference and just missed the playoffs. Guys, what do you think Orlando City has to do to make the playoffs this year?
Well, I think we saw last year there was a couple of games where we saw, they were doing pretty good for a majority of the game, and then up until maybe the last 30, 20 minutes or so, they started to get, a little bit flustered, and occasionally we saw them drop a couple of points, both early on in the season and later on in the season. So I think as long as we stay organized and stay composed in that last third of games, because we have the players to do it, I think we have a, solid leadership under Kaká and a great goal scorer in Kyle Larin, last year's Rookie of the Year. So I think if we see more from those players, and again, just it comes down to the leadership and the organization that the team needs, but I think that they have the right tools to do that, honestly.
You mentioned it. The organization is the biggest thing that I'm looking at for Orlando City coming into the 2016 season. We couldn't identify what their style was. Adrian Heath at times allowed these guys to play when we were on the road, and these guys really opened up the game, whether it was through Kaká or Sarin, any of the midfield players. They really extended. Sometimes they didn't get back defensively. We were lucky to have a goalkeeper for Tally Hall for much of the season, who made big saves when it mattered. And then going into the last 10 minutes, I don't know if it was fitness or just a lack of concentration while they were getting tired. In the last 10 minutes into the game, Orlando City just dropped a couple points like you just mentioned. But this team, when they're in the offensive third, I told you that I think this is one of the most dangerous teams in the MLS with Kyle Larin, Kaká, and a healthy Kevin Molino. I think this team can score and almost score at will if they take advantage of their opportunities.
No, exactly. But they had plenty like that last year. And, sometimes it didn't work out quite as well for them, but they have plenty of outlets now with Kyle Larin, Kaká, and like you said, Kevin Molino. After a year of being on the bench with an injury, I think he's going to come out with, a real fire in his belly, and he wants to, be a part of this team. He was with them in the USL days, so the fans are going to love having him back as well. Mm-hmm. But I think, having him and also someone like Carlos Rivas on the wing as well, and you're going to have the support of Luke Bowden and Breck Shea, even Rafa Ramos too, who are going to get involved in the attack. And I think, it just adds to the dynamic that this team has and the kind of, exciting attacking play that I think we're ready to see again from Orlando City.
Definitely. During the offseason, Orlando City brought in some new players, including Antonio Nascerino from AC Milan and former UCF Knight Haji Berry. Which players need to have a big year for the Lions?
Yeah, I know you'll touch on Haji Berry and then AC Milan signing, but for me, I'm looking at the back line. Can we stay healthy throughout the entire year? Something we couldn't do last year. Breck Shea at times missed most of the summer, and even Rafael Ramos picked up some big injuries, and I love him at that right back position. He's perfect for the MLS, a player that's able to get up with pace, defend at times, always able to get back on the counter attack. And then I'm looking at Joe Bendik, the keeper that came from Toronto FC. I think he's going to get the nod and goal. Listen, Tally Hall was a big loss. I don't think we're talking about it enough. He made save after save for this Orlando City side, a team that relies on just going back and forth and hopefully scores more than the other team. Listen, the keeper is going to have to play wonderful this year. Aurelio Collins, Seb Hines, whoever plays at that center back position with Aurelio Collins is going to have to perform. And I'm looking at this offensive third and these wingers. Can Breck Shea really get in the attack and help aid that offensive that we already have? And Kaká, can we see him be a little bit more mobile in that midfield? Can we see a little bit more creativity? How good can that connection between Kyle Larin and Kaká be? Because I really think that it's the perfect duo to have in the MLS.
You saw plenty of it last year already. I mean, Kyle Larin having 17 goals and Kaká leading the team in assists as well and second in goals behind Kyle Larin. So we saw, Kaká showing the class and the flair that he has, back from, the good old AC Milan days. He's still bringing that to Orlando City as well. But also, around the midfield, it's going to be pretty competitive, honestly, to get some minutes because you got guys like Christian Higuita and Darwin Sarin, who have been, I thought they were rocks last season in the central midfield. So now you bring in Antonio Nacherino, which is a great signing. I think, bringing a former AC Milan teammate of Kaká as well, it'll help kind of boost the chemistry a little bit. But I also think, it's going to send a warning sign to guys like, you got Carlos Rivas as well, and some other guys who we saw a little bit of last year, but they weren't really able to make the impact like guys like Higuita or Sarin did.
Where do you see Haji Berry coming into this side?
Well, I think depending on what system Adrian Heath wants to go with, he could possibly be a partner to Kyle Larin, or we can see him go on the wing, which is where we saw a lot of him last year for UCF as well, getting 17 goals on the season, right. And he did very well. Yeah.
Brian Roches is
roles.
Another player to look at because he was able to come off the bench later in the year and really provide a good help for Kyle Larin when Kyle Larin was not playing well.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. He was a very good, solid player who could also play out wide as well. But a healthy Kyle Larin, I think, is probably going to be the key to a successful season for Orlando City.
Definitely. All right. It'll be exciting once Orlando City kicks off the season on Sunday, March 6th against Real Salt Lake at the Citrus Bowl. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, Ben Sanders will join Eric and I to discuss this year's Copa America tournament and the crazy finish at Daytona 500 this weekend. We'll be right back.
Experience the sea, art, lifestyle, travel. This is Seek to See More.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. Ben Sanders now joins us. The Copa America is coming to the United States this summer, and last night each team learned their fate. Among Group A, the U.S. men's national team will play against Colombia, Costa Rica, and Paraguay. Guys, did the United States draw the most difficult group?
I have to believe they did. When you look at the quality that Colombia and Costa Rica put out on the field, Colombia have people like James Rodriguez, who changed games not only for Real Madrid but for Colombia, just shone in the World Cup. Never even heard of him before that tournament. Don't think most of the world did, and just lit it up. And then you've got Costa Rica, who have probably one of the top 3 goalkeepers in the world. Keylor Navas had 7 clean sheets to start the season La Liga this year, which is a tough season because as it is an attacking league, so there's a lot of goals. So those will be the 2 biggest tests for the US. Paraguay is kind of the unknown. Will they show up with a good team? Will they not? I have no idea. But the US are definitely going to have to bring their A game if they want to advance out the group.
Yeah, Troy said it the best. It's a tricky group. It's not a difficult group. It's not the group of death. The United States are expected to get out of this group on home soil. This United States side will be happy they get to play against a team like Colombia in the United States. Listen, they could have drawn Chile. They could have drawn Uruguay. And then you look at the Costa Rica side. I really believe that this U.S. team will face better against a Costa Rica side than they will against a Jamaica side, a team that can offer pace and a different creativity against the United States. And then the game against Paraguay, Ben, you said it, we don't know what's going to happen. But the U.S., they're expected to come with a good team here to get ready for 2018. For the United States, they needed this kind of test because they did not play well in the Gold Cup last year. They were knocked out in the semifinal. They did not play well in friendlies in 2015. And now they're coming to 2016. They're going to have to get ready because this is exactly what the 2018 World Cup is going to look like. You're not going to have it easy. It's not going to be Slovenia and Algeria all over again like 2010. It's going to be much like the 2014 World Cup. You have to be ready for these big games. And on home soil, you have to expect to get out of that group.
Yeah, the other problem I have with the US is selection issues going into it. Like, does Jurgen Klinsmann really know all the players he's going to take, other than Josie up top and maybe Clint Dempsey floating in behind him? Who are they going to have in the midfield? Who are they going to have in defence? Who are they going to have between the sticks defending the goal? Like, we don't know all those things until you know the MLS season starts and see who really performs overseas and over in the United States.
Guys, which game do you see as a must-win for the United States?
And this is going to sound crazy, but it has to be the first game on June 3rd against Colombia. It's a big game for the United States. Listen, when we look back at the 2014 World Cup, the reason why that U.S. was able to get out of the group was because of that 84th minute goal by John Brooks against Ghana. That was the pivotal point in the World Cup campaign for the United States. And I look at that first game, and they have to get some kind of points, and I think it has to be 3 points. The biggest thing that I'm concerned with the United States is that they go then to Costa Rica, then they play against Costa Rica, a side that you don't know what's going to happen in that game. That game is going to be a 1-goal game, whatever the score happens to be. And then you end up with Paraguay. Listen, I think they need to go into that game with at least 4 points and hope to get 7 points against Paraguay with a win. I think they must win against Colombia to get something out of that game.
I agree. When the group stages, the biggest game is always the first game because you've got to set that precedent. You've got to make the other 2 teams scared to play you. So if they come out against Colombia, have a big performance, try and go for 3 points, they leave with 1 point, it still puts them in a better position. Yeah. And then you got Costa Rica. Costa Rica embarrassed England in the World Cup and got through a group where everyone said no, they're not even going to score even 1 point. Let alone they went through. Mm-hmm. So the US needs to come out and win that first game, be strong, so they can set themselves up to get into the next round.
Yeah, here's the thing. This whole summer decides Jurgen Klinsmann's fate because if you look at it, for 2 years after this, they could get a new manager and get prepared for the 2018 World Cup. They don't have to be worried about starting all over if they fire your Klinsmann. He has to show up with a good team, a team that's ready to go, and a team that can perform at the highest level. They're on home soil now. There's no excuses. We're not traveling across to Europe. We're not going to Africa. We're playing in our home soil. We're supposed to get out of these difficult groups. We can't say forever, hey, the United States have drawn another group of death. No, it's not always going to be that way. You have to perform, and they are expected to get out.
Definitely. Hopefully the U.S. pushes through. It certainly is an interesting storyline as we look at the men's national team as they prepare for Russia in 2018. Over in the Daytona, okay, so Denny Hamlin won the Daytona 500 in a photo finish. Ben, tell me, what do you think about the race? Like, how do you think it went down yesterday?
The race actually looked like a lot of Daytona 500s do. It's a long race. It's over 3 hours. The Toyotas were really strong, got lined up on the bottom from lap 40. Denny Hamlin in that race had to have the best car. He led 95 laps. And on the last lap, coming to the white flag at the start-finish line, he pulled out of line, got a huge run, Huge push from Kevin Harvick went down the backstretch. And then when Matt Kenseth's blocked him, he doesn't carry his teammates. The Daytona 500, he's never won it, and he's got passed for the win. The last 2 Daytona 500s, just turned under him. Matt tried to block him, went in the wall, and then him and Truex were side draft and slamming off each other coming to the start-finish line. In the closest finish in the Daytona 500, the second closest finish in the Cup Series at that racetrack. It was just incredible.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, Joshua Thicklin and Justin Garfield will talk NBA midseason awards. Stay with us.
Dangerous driving extends beyond just speeding, especially in the rain where light usage can be the most dangerous thing you do. This high-performance sports car might be able to handle tight corners in the rain, but if the driver can't see drivers around him, it just doesn't matter. Driving with your hazard lights on is illegal in the state of Florida, regardless of weather conditions. Hazard lights are only to be used while stopped on the side of the road. It makes it easier for emergency services to distinguish cars stopped on the shoulder. Not driving with your hazards on also makes turn signals clearly visible, along with brake lights. Increasing the visibility of your car in the rain will make your trips infinitely safer. And of course, remember that speed is the most important thing you can control while driving in severe weather. Speed and low grip are a deadly combination at any level of driver skill. For more information, visit your local Florida Department of Transportation office or the website shown below. Control the roads and enjoy the journey.
Central Florida is the perfect place to study, earn a degree, and of course, to enjoy everything that Central Florida has to offer.
From theme parks to dinner shows and, of course, the movies, Orlando offers many unique and exciting activities to do. However, we all know that a ticket to any of these attractions can be expensive, especially on a college student budget.
UCF Student Government Association has the nights covered with the SGA Ticket Center.
Located at the heart of campus inside Student Union, SGA Ticket Center offers tickets at a special discounted price to UCF students, faculty, and staff.
Not only do they have discounted tickets for theme parks, but they also have discounted tickets for other attractions like Blue Man Group, Pirates Dinner Adventure, and Kennedy Space Center.
Save your money and experience all Orlando has to offer.
For more information, you can visit their website.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. I'm Barmel Lyons here with Joshua Thicklin and Justin Garfield to discuss what's going on in the NBA. We're just over halfway done with the season, and now it's time for midseason awards. But before we get into that, let's talk about Anthony Davis, dropping 59 points and collecting 20 rebounds. This makes Davis the only third player since 1984 to put up those numbers. Guys, what do you think about the performance by Davis? Because he killed it. He definitely did.
Well, I just have to first say that we don't get to see performances like this. As you heard the stat, only the third player to do it since 1984. The other two players being Chris Webber and Shaq. Mm-hmm. You know, when we see Goliath-like performances like this, it kind of shows you what the NBA used to be. It used to be centered around the big man. The big man used to be a really crucial focal point of offense. And Anthony Davis is really, is a coming of age for Davis. Even though this season has been, underwhelming for the New Orleans Pelicans, but it's nice to see a little bright spot coming from Davis.
Definitely. What about you, Justin?
This shows me that he could dominate any game if he really wants to. He goes off, they win the game in Detroit. It was really impressive. I want to see the big man make a comeback, and I think that's exactly what he's doing right now. You've got guys like Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, who don't just have the post-up game in their repertoire. They've got jump shots, they got three-pointers, of course they got the rebounding and the assists. They're all just joining together, becoming the stretch four that the big man's really evolving into. And so I think we're going to see a lot more of those big men coming into the game in the next couple of years. And Anthony Davis, boy, what an intro. What an intro to this era.
I think it's kind of crazy to think about it. Let's say around 5 to 7 years ago, you only had one really premier big man in the league, and it was Dwight Howard. Mm-hmm. And now we look around, it's starting to emerge again. So we have, like you said, Karl Anthony Towns, young man, but we have DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Drummond. These guys are putting up numbers that we always wanted to see, and we wanted to see from more than just one guy. So I think as we as we keep on going, a couple more years, we may see more big men emerge. Still have like young guys like Jalil Okafor and stuff like that. So the big man position is something. I hope they bring back the center position on the All-Star ballot too. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we get to see big men get recognized the way they should.
And with the small ball revolution, you've also got Draymond Green playing center. He's only 6'8".
So, hey, maybe we'll have shorter centers, also have centers that are more active in offenses, make it a more exciting game. So, well, hey, what do you know? You can have like Anthony Davis maybe in 3 or 4 years. We can be looking here, he'll be a 2-time MVP down the road.
Definitely. So we all know Steph Curry is the favorite to win MVP. But who do you think will win the other awards? Because, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that, if we took the MVP conversation aside, because Curry's definitely the front runner, when we start looking towards like Rookie of the Year, I think that's going to be an interesting category this year. Because for me, I'll go with Kristaps Porzingis for the Knicks. I think the Porzingis, as the people have been saying it, is definitely been like the multimedia sensation that he has. And playing in New York does have it has a lot to do with it, but the fact that he's kind of revitalized this franchise, he gave hope to this franchise early in the year, and even seeing him on bigger stages, he's showing up. If I just watched the Knicks this season, I would have thought that Kristaps Porzingis is the franchise player for the team, even though not to take away that Carmelo Anthony isn't playing a pretty decent year. It's just like, I think he's a breath of fresh air for that franchise, and I think what he's done so far, averaging about 14 points and 7 rebounds per game, is like, really something remarkable.
And I disagree with you. I'm going to go with Mr. Karl Anthony Towns, Mr. #1 overall pick right here from Kentucky. Only rookie right now to average a double-double with 17.1 points per game and 10.2 rebounds per game. He's not getting as much coverage because he plays in Minnesota, but still, you just can't ignore what he's doing.
Well, I think that, as we know, as a season, I think Karl Anthony Towns definitely, statistically, we look at him, he may be the front runner like that, but I think Kristaps, his ceiling may even be higher. I think Kristaps does have, now he's actually honoring those comparisons where we compared him to Dirk earlier in the year. I think he can do a little bit more than Dirk can do. I think he's a way more efficient rebounder, and his game's more, like in 3 or 4 years, like way more well-developed, and he's definitely an all-star in the making.
And then Defensive Player of the Year. Last year, Kawhi Leonard kind of surprised everybody and won it. And I think I like him to repeat. The Spurs have the #1 defense this year, and he's averaging 2 steals per game and a block per game. And he's always the guy who guards the best player on the other team. I think that hands down should be enough on his resume to win it.
Now, see, that's where me and you're going to have to butt heads. Now, I think this year Defensive Player of the Year was, without a doubt, is Hassan Whiteside from the Miami Heat. Like, we're saying this man averaged triple doubles with double-digit blocks, like, in a way that I have not seen in a long time. So he has 177 total blocks this year, nearly averaging 4 blocks per game. And plus, when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year, now, people are kind of suckers for the big man. Big man always gets love. We got to remember Ben Wallace, Mutombo, even Howard. Like, so it's one of those things that you definitely have to look for.
I definitely agree. But all in all, we had a good conversation. Anthony Davis, keep doing your thing. But thank you so much for watching Hitting the Field. Have a wonderful day.